Yeah. So, Matt,
So daylight
have you,
savings. Daylight
have you
savings is
heard
the
the
thing.
news?
Oh, you're
Well,
you're doing
yeah.
daylight savings the last time.
Yeah.
You've grown up. We're still little children.
Uh, Now, Matt, I come from a rather large family, and growing up is something that you do. That's great. I would
It
say
is.
as a global family, what really sucks is when one of your children grows up and the other ones don't. So I'm going to be very confused the next time you, for example, change time zones, and
Yeah.
we do not, or not change time zones, but DST kicks in
Yeah.
because we're not going to be there. And all my
Yeah.
meetings are going to be weird. It's just going to be strange. So what I'm hoping happens is that we can get more provinces, states,
Yeah.
countries to follow suit
I,
because it's going to be confusing for a minute.
I remember wasn't Dan Marr part of the committee for the EU to go to a
Right.
single no not to be on daylight savings, and like all
I
the
think you're
countries were
right.
given a choice, like you can either switch now and never switch again, or you're stuck switching every time. And
Right. If I recall correctly, the standard that he likes is ISO 8601. You know, these ones that just kind of stick with you, which is like the date time format,
right.
and it's like a specific way. I think it might have been originally that he was sort of memeing against the American way being wrong, which I think is month, day, year, which always confuses me.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
French way might be day, month, year, and I think the European version is backwards. I know that sounds awful, but like the other way. So it's like year, month, day is the
Which I
ISO
think is the
standard.
correct way. I
Well,
mean,
it definitely is
that's
for
the way
file
I
folders.
prefer.
Let me tell
Yes.
you. Yeah, yeah,
For
yeah, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, because it just works. You use two digits for the one that's not the year,
Right.
and you're good to go.
Or year, week number, day, or even just year, day of the year. I'm good with either of those,
Yes.
or
So
any
so
of
now that
those.
we lost all of our viewers talking about time zones, let's see if we
Time
can win them
zones,
back a
yes.
little bit by talking about Olama. Thanks for
Welcome
rejoining,
to the
folks.
time
Now
zone show.
yeah, yeah, exactly. We'll get back to
All
our
time zones, all the time.
Unicode standards talk. Exactly. I've been using this thing called Olama Cloud, and I
Nice.
gotta admit, I'm paying for the cheapest one that I could.
Me
'Cause
too.
I didn't think it was gonna work. I thought it was gonna be awful,
Yeah.
and then I was like, whatever. If I hit the limit, I'll be fine. I was like, this Mac guy told me maybe a year ago, as usual, that he hasn't hit the limit yet.
Yeah.
I have not. I'm not abusing it, but I have yet to hit the limit, and
Yeah.
I've been using Minimax and Kimi K2, I think, for the most
Yeah.
part, and then. There is a new, I think it's Quen 3.5 coder, if I'm not correct, or it
Right.
might just be Quen 3.5, apologies, which has yet to be ported to Alama, but I've been playing with it on MLX.
Mm.
And listen, I understand there's distillation going on, and maybe somebody's perhaps
Yeah.
glancing at someone else's homework. I get that. And I also understand there's economic,
Right.
repercussions around this in the US, but I gotta say, the models that Olama serves are so-so. The latency from Olama is phenomenal. The speed and latency, I guess, the
Mm.
two. So time to first token is second to none. I don't think there's
Yeah.
any other provider out there that can give me a token faster than
Yeah.
Olama right now, which isn't necessarily something that everybody needs.
Right.
But if you're doing something like voice or text to speech where there's
Mm-hmm.
there's a human involved, that is fantastic. Now I'm just over
Mm-hmm.
here coding; it's not the end of the world. But
Yep.
holy moly! So I'll tell you what I was playing with because you're gonna laugh. Uh, we've talked about Gastown a couple times in here
Oh
in,
my
in
God.
OpenClaw and
Gastown
things like that.
again?
I know, I know, I know, I know.
I'm gonna
I'm
be
not
one of
running
those
Gastown. I
viewers
promise.
leaving.
Exactly. Listen. The one that really kind of irks me is OpenCloud, just because of security. Gastown, I can kind
Mm-hmm.
of get around it in that, like, listen, don't run it because the token hog. But I feel like what really interests me is that management layer. So how do you manage agents in
Mm-hmm.
Gastown? There's nudging, there's a deacon, there's some cleanup, basically like a dead letter queue. What does that look like with your agents when you've got
Right.
20, 30, 40, 400 of them? Is a complicated problem. I've been playing around with, I think I talked about AutoClaude last time, which is like a Kanban way of managing teams or
Mm.
tasks or what have you. It's a good way to think about maybe your repo as something that 30 agents could use, maybe not
Mm-hmm.
300, something like that. The next level is, if you're thinking about a team, the next level would be a team of teams. The next level after that might be like an organization. And if you want to just like, I don't know, speed run all that. I think what you do is go to Paperclip, which is like a company of companies, is their model. So imagine a
Mm,
company that contains teams, and it could be QA and
right,
whatever, but it might have a sales team and it might have a
right,
marketing team, like the things that
right.
you're not necessarily thinking of. Again, not a glowing recommendation for Paperclip, which is Paperclip AI slash Paperclip on GitHub.
Paperclip
Uh,
AI. Okay.
but I do think this mental model or this way of thinking of those agents is very interesting. I'll walk you through kind of the onboarding just because I thought it was funny. So when you start up the app, you're placed on the board. So imagine you're like the board of
Mm-hmm.
directors running this company, and your first task is to hire a quote unquote CEO.
Mm-hmm.
And similar to OpenClaw, you have to give it a soul. Now that's SOUL dot MD, not SOLE dot ME, which I don't know. When we were talking about like lobsters and stuff, for some reason I was thinking about fish. But anyway,
Oh,
when a
fish.
friend
I
described
thought
this to
you
me,
were talking
I,
about shoes.
I mean, could
Yeah.
also be soles of shoes. I have no idea. But you got to give the CEO a sole, maybe one shoe, two shoes. I have no idea. They need at least a pair of shoes to walk into work. And then once you get the CEO, you can assign them tasks to do. And I'm not going to say they won't do the task, but they kind of just won't do the task as the
Yeah.
CEO. So you've got to get the CEO to hire a founding engineer, and then you can assign them tasks. But they'll be like, I mean, I can only work so much. I can only do so many check-ins, and they'll recommend that you hire junior engineers. And the real problem I have with this, Matt, is like the tokens between these teams are tokens I'm paying for.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
as it sprawls and you make this whole company, and I
Yeah.
did do some code. Essentially, what I did is assign every repo as a project to my GitHub,
Right.
forgetting that I have 403, 404 repos,
Yeah.
just like old forks. You go through and you got to either delete them
Yeah.
or update them. And the junior engineers, for the life of whatever low reasoning GPT-4 has or 5.3 has, they could not figure out how to update a repo. It was amazing. It was like, GitHub says that it's logged in, but I don't think it's logged in. It's like, did you check? No, I closed the ticket. I feel like that Spanish meme is like, yeah, I mean, I've dealt with these engineers before, right? Then you've got to tell your lead engineer, like you promote one of them to lead, and then you give them instructions so you can coordinate the engineers. I'm
Right.
sure I'm using this wrong. Like I'm
Yeah.
just using bad management styles that I've
Yeah.
used before to get this team working. But essentially, just a little bit of middle management, I guess, is how I
Yeah.
got it fixed. And then I started thinking, like, if Gastown has a Bezos mode, Paperclip's Bezos mode is all about middle management. Like you've got to really be careful how tasks are assigned, and then like how they report on the tasks being done to make sure they're actually done. Just because you closed it doesn't mean the work is done. Like somebody
Right.
has to check it. It's it's pretty interesting.
Wow.
All this to say, I had a lot of fun. I tried to get one of the AI designers to do Lovable using API, which
Uh-huh.
definitely failed at. It was pretty fun, but it does feel like we're at that point now where Paperclip will tell you it's a zero human companies that I would say simulator, but it would
Mm-hmm.
say like workflow project.
Mm-hmm.
It's a zero human company
Right.
simulator.
Right.
There are a lot of problems in a zero human company. The
Mm-hmm.
least of which is communication. I mean,
Yeah.
they have a hard time communicating with themselves, and this is where I take a deep breath and a sigh, and I think back to like the monolithic kernel in NT4 and RPC calls.
Okay.
This is how ugly this. Because like in terms of a mental model that I know of, with the thing
Right.
with many
Right.
moving parts that I understand pretty well, it's like RPC calls in the NT kernel,
Yeah.
and this is a sad state of affairs that I was left with after playing with Paperclip all weekend. It's like, how do I get these agents to communicate to each other properly within a hierarchy without overspending on tokens? And I think the conclusion is something like agent teams mode in Claude Code. And I think Open Code is trying to get there as well. But it's that passing of tasks without too much context, but without not having so little that they can't do anything at all. Which
Yeah.
is that's the problem space I'm in right now, which is very similar to managing employees. It's like, just how much context do I need to get Matt to like write this in Python? A lot of
Right.
context? A little bit of context? If I told him TypeScript, would he have already done it? Like, I don't know.
Now, something I'm hearing is I wouldn't say I want to go back, but it is something I sometimes miss
Mm.
is the idea of being able to spend a weekend
Right.
goofing off on these things.
The
Um,
joys of being childless. I'm so sorry.
Childless, yeah. I mean, you have there's a spouse, so there's I
It,
mean, there's somebody else, but somehow
so
you've managed to.
yeah, I'll tell you a story about my spouse, my partner here in a moment, just to give you sort of like a feel for what's going on. Not in my home, but
Hmm.
outside of my home. So my spouse walks the dogs and talks to people in the dog park.
Hmm.
And I think it was last week, maybe the week before, some guy who probably looks just like me brought their dog into the dog park and was, trying to do small talk, but maybe wasn't excelling in it so much. So I decided to tell my partner all about their joys of AI coding and how they're making these systems and stuff. And I was like, oh, when she was telling me the story, I was thinking like, don't be this guy, basically. Don't be this guy, you know? So I'm up until 3 a.m. sending texts over WhatsApp to my agent, I promise, but also trying to explain this to your partner, like, why are you
Yeah.
texting some random computer bot? And then I'll show her, like, hey, look, I made a file system. She's like, who needs a file system? Very good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
It's difficult to explain other than to say, I think the main thing is it's kind of like, is it adulation or self-adulation, self-congratulatory, something like that. But the fact that you can get so much done, which you previously thought was hard, is
Right.
very addictive. And
Right.
it's absolutely the Sim City, just one more turn. And I
Yep.
used to think that this is relegated to Claude and the way it works, or maybe relegated to ChatGPT and the model. But having used Minimax and K2 for quite a bit,
Right.
it feels more like it's just that itch that I really want to scratch. Like I like coding. I just often don't have the time to sit down
Right.
and do it. I think what might take you a weekend would probably take me 2 weeks, especially if it's front end.
Oh, I don't.
Like first you got to understand like what a DOM is. Like why
Right.
do we need document object model? What is going on? Uh, and then getting over that hump is difficult. The nice thing about doing this with Gen AI is I can read along as it's going and pretend that I'm learning,
Yeah.
or at least pick up some terms, and then use those terms to learn more. And I feel like I'm unlocking areas of
Hmm.
I don't know programming that I'd never really touched before.
Right.
So like
Right.
trying to learn Rust or Zig or one of these programming languages that's like compiled and a little bit harder
Hmm.
to use.
Hmm.
Or I think I was telling you about like trying to do init ramfs. I tried to make a
Mm.
bootloader last week just for fun. Like I'm trying to get as far down the stack as
Right.
possible. I think we talked about firmware as well, but like where are the limits? One of
Right.
my understanding of a computer, and then how can Gen AI help me either build something to help demystify that or show me how it works, or maybe let me know where there are things in there. But I think, do you remember Secure Boot being a thing like 20 years ago when Secure Boot rolled out?
Mm.
Does this ring a
Okay.
bell?
A little bit.
Secure
Yeah.
Boot was like a BIOS setting before EFI, I think,
Okay.
and then definitely came into place with EFI to say like, I'm going to try to be nice here to Microsoft, but basically to ascertain that the provenance of your operating system was correct.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
problem being that the only operating system in question is Microsoft Windows.
Right.
So like,
Right.
cool, but there's more
Yep.
stuff out there. So it broke Linux installs, so you had to like turn
Hmm.
it off or what have you. It's expiring, my understanding is in June or July this year. So
Oh,
those
really?
secure boot setups, there are other ones that have replaced it,
Hmm.
but those initial secure boot setups,
Right.
I think the PKI or something is
Oh, okay.
expiring at that time. So I thought to myself, could I make a
Hmm.
pre-OS OS environment, because like EFI is an actual operating system.
Right.
So the question I had in my mind, I was like, well, how much operating system?
Right.
Can we run a VM? Can we run a container? Can I open a file? And it turns out like, yeah, you can do file operations
Hmm.
and that kind of stuff. Anyway, this is what I've been spending my time on, just trying
Wow.
to go on like kernel internals or what have you. But I don't know if there's interest in, and maybe I shouldn't call you out publicly, but I feel like a live stream of Linux from scratch with one of these models would be very fun. Like, imagine have you done
Hmm.
LFS before, or even Gentoo or Arch, where you're like making all the decisions about Linux?
Uh,
Does that sort of ring a bell?
well, I mean, it was reminding me of, I've had a course in when I was in
Okay.
college about
Yeah.
OS design, and
Oh, nice.
um,
Do you
and
want to be on my live stream?
I mean, I don't
It'll only take
remember
3 days.
anything from it,
Yeah, it's
but it
nearby.
was. I mean, it's. I think it was a probably 6 months to a year before Linux first showed up.
Oh, wow, that's cool. So in the
And so we
Minix
were
times, I think.
based on Minix and Coherent.
Right on.
And we would pluck different pieces out of the system and build it ourselves, like the
That's
elevator
so cool.
algorithm, do the loader, and a few other pieces, and spend a few weeks on each of those components.
That is very
long
cool.
time ago.
So I've done Gentoo multiple times,
Hmm.
which is similar Arch, but not the same. I've done Linux from scratch once, and I think it took me 2 weeks.
Mm.
I did it on an HP PA RISC, which was not very smart. I think it was a 30 megahertz processor. I had to cross compile
Hmm.
on Intel machines and then ship the kernel over. It took a very long time just to compile, for
Yeah.
example. So doing it. The reason I've been looking at LFS is because they removed sysv init or system 5 in
Okay.
it and replaced it with system D finally. Like there's no
Right.
more
Right.
instructions for the old init system. I kind of liked it. So I was
Yeah.
like, I wonder if I could resurrect their docs and like kind of backport this in just to see for funsies and how long it would actually take. Because I recall it literally took me 2 weeks to read Linux from scratch,
Right.
let alone like do the instructions and the
Yeah.
compilation. So it probably took maybe a month.
Yeah.
And I feel like I could do this in a day of a stream, maybe two if I'm smart.
Hmm.
Because there's an automator now. So there's LFX and then LFS, sorry, and then I think there's BLFS, so Beyond Linux from Scratch, and then
Hmm.
there's ALFS, which is new to me, which is the
Hmm.
automatic Linux from scratch. So I feel like I could go through the first iteration pretty quickly,
Right.
and that's just making your config files for make menu config.
Right.
Beyond is adding other system packages to it, so like maybe you need a GUI, I don't know, perhaps a
Hmm.
terminal, something like that. And then the automated one, I feel like I could actually create a
Hmm.
something of a repo. This is
Huh.
my huge big brain thought here.
Wow. Okay.
Do you want to stream for a month? Sequentially, all
Yeah.
together, no sleep. Yeah, we'll lock ourselves in a
That,
tower and make Linux,
that sounds like all the worst parts of school.
right?
Yeah. No.
So I feel like it's going to be a very long live stream, but that's my current plan is to figure
Yeah.
out. And I could pick a number of models, but it's probably be Olama. And then
Yeah.
if I run out of credits, I can move to something else or pay for the
Yeah.
higher tier. But it feels like if Anthropic is going around saying that they've built a C compiler, which they have,
Hmm.
and doesn't pass formal verification, but
Right.
whatever, they said they were able to compile Linux. The question is, could we do a task of similar difficulty with one of the open source models that Olama hosts? And I feel like the answer is yes at this point, but not. Yeah, look, we got one viewer already. I don't know who would have to sponsor a 2-month stream to keep me awake, but
Yeah.
it would one of those energy drink companies
Yeah.
or something. But that's kind of where I'm at now.
I think
I
Datadog
feel
would
like
have to be the sponsor to have you not at work for 2 months.
I don't know. Datadog may have opinions about Linux that we got to
Okay.
be careful with
Uh-huh.
because they're too aligned with CNCF and
Right. Right.
the Linux Foundation. If I'm bringing back System 5 in it as a Solaris fan, I don't know if Datadog can get behind this. Actually, it may be an opinion that they don't share with me. I don't know. What's that saying? Like my opinions don't represent that of my employers.
Right. Right.
I'm almost positive this is the case as an old Linux head
Right.
that they would not be impressed with
Yeah.
removing System D. But we are there. Like
Yeah.
Minimax is so fast. I've been able to run
Yeah.
2 concurrent sessions with Olama at least and not had any problems at all.
Oh, yeah.
So like one running work on back end, one running front end, no problem whatsoever.
Yep.
This is $20. This feels like
Yeah.
don't
It
tell
is.
anybody. This is like a really good deal.
It's magic.
It's
Yeah.
it
And there's
it is
occasionally times where
amazing.
it gets like really slow for like a
Not for
day,
me.
and then
Okay.
and then that problem is gone. Whatever that problem was, there've been a few times where, as they grow, yeah, but it's been pretty amazing.
Have you seen like the Claude or ChatGPT efficiency graphs? So it's like
No.
you know how there are benchmarks, and they'll come out with a benchmark and be like, "Yeah, look at this for
Yeah, it's always better. Yeah.
soda or whatever, state of the art. We're better
Right.
than everybody at everything." And then people test it, and they're like, "It's pretty good."
Yeah.
And then the next week rolls around, they're like, "Wait a second, it's like slower than the old model. What's going?" And it could be usage or API degradation or what have you. But it feels like that happens so often with the big providers that I can't imagine that Olama is it can't be unique to these providers. I
Right.
would imagine the
Right.
same thing happens to Olama as demand spikes and
Yep.
dips. I'm trying to find that graph though. I'm so sorry. I think this is one of those ones that I stole from Primogen stream. Let me see if I can find it. But that's basically it. Like as if we're going to have something that we say performs at this rate, then I think that's pretty important to like keep it at that rate. But that's not
Right.
always the case. Is what we're getting at. And I think
Mm.
that's difficult for Llama to do as well, especially because the models are non-deterministic in their
Right.
output, and you could run the same benchmark a couple
Yeah.
times and it wouldn't necessarily
I
be
don't know
anything.
how they do what they do. I mean, I don't.
Llama, yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think we talked about a bit. There's got to be a little bit of hosting secret sauce. There's
Yeah.
no way. Like, if is it cached? I've been going through
They,
caching
yeah.
on the front end, like on my side as well as the back end. There's a
Hmm.
lot you can do with caching, or there's a lot you can do to send the first token really quickly. Like, you can send a first token
Mm.
that says,
Hmm.
okay, got it. And then wait on your stream for a little while.
Right.
And then it looks like the time to first token is very low, even
Yep.
though all it says was, okay, got it. I'll
Yep.
continue, blah, 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 blah. It feels like that's one of those tricks, but I don't like the
Yeah.
rest of the message happens right away. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
maybe they cook that
Yeah.
in, but it's pretty fast. I thought that perhaps it's like a loss leader. So they're trying to sell it off and get
Hmm.
people interested in the product and then sign up for more, but
Yep.
it must be a powerful loss leader because it's a
Yeah.
really good deal basically at this
Yeah.
point. And I've said this before and I'll say it again about the other two quote unquote deals. So the Claude
Hmm.
Anthropic Max plan, for example, and I think OpenAI is called, I forget what theirs is called, but basically they seem like great deals. And
Hmm.
if you're hitting those limits, you're probably doing something that's,
Hmm.
I won't say ill-advised, but like a little
Yeah.
bit like the urban ergonomics are weird. You're
Right.
hammering things with like the wrong end of the hammer, basically,
Right.
or you've picked up 10 of the hammers and you're hammering things wrong with 10 hammers instead
Yeah.
of
Like
one.
every kind of compilation I've seen of here are all the amazing things you can do with OpenClaw. They are
Right.
all fantastic examples of things that suck in OpenClaw and would be so much better in N8N or Make or whatever
Or
your favorite
anything,
tool.
or anything.
Um,
I love
it's like,
Peter. The more he talks, the more I'm impressed by him. But like that code base, I can't. I can't. I'm
yeah,
sorry. It's just like it feels like something that was made last fall, which it was.
yeah,
And if you remade it today, it would be so much better. But like we're going to have more of these as we
yeah,
go. But agreed, like the schedule will be the first one. So OpenClaw, the main thing, the aha moment for a lot of people is like long running jobs. We've talked about this on this podcast till
right,
like since inception. We've been talking about this, but people want fast tasks. They want slow tasks.
right,
And then, of course, because we're not done designing schedulers, they want scheduled
yeah,
tasks. It's just one of those problems. So they want to be able to have something that runs every day or
yep,
every week or what have you, or if this, then that. And the main thing that OpenClaw does is just wake up. I think it's every 30 minutes or something like that.
yeah,
It's like, hey, do I got new jobs? And that is like an aha moment for a lot of people.
yeah, yeah.
Or they'll talk about the memory. Did you know you could add a memory and it's just like a text file or it's like some bad database?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
I mean, yes, but
yeah,
is this the way you want to do it? And some of the tooling is all just like 30 tiny Go tools to
yeah,
support this. I get it. He's made them as he goes along, but like
right. Ooh,
they're
did
not great.
so one of those tools is
Mhm.
GOG,
GOG
GOG.
CLI, which yeah, I'm very yep.
Have
Tell
you
me about
seen
GOG.
there's a new so Google put out a new CLI,
I did. I was
not
about to say the same
supported,
thing. Yes,
not
right.
supported by
But
Google, but it is
but it
like
would
it is everything you could want. I mean, the fact that
now, now,
it's
now
not
hold up,
just
hold up. Do you think it's from Google? Are you sure it's from Google? Okay, we'll put a pin in that and we'll
hmm,
go for it. Tell me the rest because
I'm
I don't
pretty
think it
sure
is.
because I mean, one of the neat things is it's not just about getting your mail or getting your calendar or getting whatever. It is also getting it's a CLI front end for every API or at least 40 or 50 APIs, and you can use it instead of having to go to the Google, your where you create the applications and generate the keys and generate all the secrets. You can do it all now from the CLI rather than having to open up that website to figure out to set up OAuth, to set up all the pieces that you need for an integration with any other tool. You can now do it all in that CLI, which is fantastic.
Such a better idea. Okay, so we'll go the good parts. One, license for the repo, Apache 2, fantastic. Language for the repo, not JavaScript, not Go, Rust, also
Yep.
good. Contributors, when I looked at the repo, 2. Claude and what looks like a Google logo and what is called the Google Workspaces workspace, but
Right.
it's not Google at
Not
all.
Google.
It's like
Right.
it's not Google. So I think it's called Google Workspaces or Google
Hmm.
Workspace slash CLI as a repo. Scroll way down the bottom of the page and it says it's not endorsed or sponsored by Google.
Not
I had not downloaded or installed it just
not
because. So
supported
that's
by
all.
Google.
No, it's not Google at all. Like
No, I mean it's
it's
not
not an official.
supported, but I mean that's what it
Oh, you think it's
says.
Google? Oh,
I mean it could
okay. So
be a
maybe.
Google project that
Oh,
we put this out. Have fun. We don't want your problems.
oh,
Is how I've understood it.
oh.
How I've seen it
I, you,
explained.
I hate to admit you're right because like sometimes it happens, but I think in this case you might be right.
I mean it's like all the
Because yeah,
what
because I'm looking at the
the
workspace and there are
Datadog
other.
Datadog
Yeah.
other integrations. It's like we're providing them,
Yeah,
we're not supporting them.
you are absolutely correct. This is in fact Google's workspace. Just because like they've got
Yeah,
4 years of other
yeah,
terrible enterprise Java
yeah.
code in here too. Okay, fair enough.
They're sample
From
apps.
Google,
Yeah,
not supported.
yeah,
Yes, yeah, good point. Similar to the Datadog Lab stuff
yeah,
that we're doing. In fact, very similar. Okay, good. I'm glad
yeah,
you because I didn't even want to try it. I was like, get another CLI. Like I'm not touching this.
yeah.
It seems like an
But it's
easy way to steal
really,
everyone's
really cool.
credentials.
Yeah,
Yeah. I just like this is for
yeah.
OpenClaw. It's from Google Workspaces. I'm gonna steal your creds. It's gonna be
Right, yeah.
fantastic. Download my code right here. This is awesome. Okay, now I feel bad. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I did like the GOG CLI. I was very very cautious about.
Yeah,
This looks way better.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
yeah.
And I think internally we've got the same thing, right? Like how do you set up a tool for an organization as large as
Hmm.
Datadog's, where we want engineers to use Google
Right.
Workspaces, but we absolutely don't want them publishing like an MFA code or like a
Hmm.
logbook key or what have you.
Right.
Right on. This is awesome. It does feel like a lot more OAuth CLI tools are going to come around
Hmm.
because this is the .env. Not to blow too much smoke up the Sentry folks, but they did have a podcast about this the other day, talking about the .env files being dangerous,
Oh,
and I
okay.
can't agree more
Yeah.
because it's something that works really well when you're doing local dev with
Right.
Docker or what have you. But when you're using Gen AI, the reading of and exposing of those credentials becomes very important very quickly.
It's the .env isn't that one of the things that's specifically mentioned as being good in the 12-factor Heroku doc? And it was
Yeah,
mostly
and I think
because of the weaknesses in Heroku that they came up the 12-factor, and then people thought this is the gospel.
correct, which is not the case. I think we might be up to 15 factor now.
Oh, okay.
Like this is Gen AI thing.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, we're up to 15 factors now. What are the next two?
Next
Oh,
three.
there's new ones. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So I think the main thing that I'm seeing in here is concurrency, telemetry, and authentication and authorization are the added ones. Everything else seems to be the same.
Hmm.
Right? I only know this having just looked up 12-factor apps just
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I asked Google AI because I was searching, is there something more than the 12-factor? And it's like, yeah, let me show you all these blog posts, like, spammy
Right.
clickbait blog posts, like beyond the 12-factor.
Right.
Like, yeah, of course. But it does look like we standard on about 15
Okay.
of them. Jay Topham
So
says, Cloud Code has been very good. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm thinking about that. One of the things I've seen
Mhm.
for like OpenClaw and
Yep.
people pushing, oh well, you should definitely only use OpenAI or Claude, especially if you're going to connect to your email because
Right.
of potential prompt injection. And yet I found even with like trying to find some good examples of prompt injection kind of attacks
Mm.
and sending an email to my I have my OpenClaw has its own email, so I
Mhm.
send it an email. And even the smallest models say, when they go to summarize the email, it says, well, there's this, and this, and then there's this feeble attempt at prompt injection attack, which I'm going to skip. And it's like, so I mean, I think most of the models do a pretty good job of identifying. Now, of course, maybe there's something that they're not identifying. And
Yeah. I think the big word of caution there is one, being careful of what network you put OpenClaw
yep,
on, And then the other is making sure that the skills that are in, I think it's called Claw Hub or Claude Hub.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be careful with public skills,
Yeah.
which I think applies to a lot
Yeah.
of stuff. But if you're just going through like a menu of
Yep.
things and it says here, click here to add the Google
Yeah.
Workspace to CLI, which one is it?
Yeah.
It does say, so it's obvious what's going
Yeah.
on, but like some of those apps, like I think one of them is just a screenshot app. Could have been a could have been a
Yeah.
skill. Like we can easily take
Yeah.
screenshots in macOS. It's been there. It's a primitive that's been there for almost 15 years. Like
Yeah.
that's not very difficult to use. But again, if you're not familiar with macOS, you may have missed
Yep.
out on some of the stuff. Like, did you know Launch D's been around? And like, I hate to say it, is maybe better than System D, and it's
Yeah.
like it's really good at scheduling. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you could use a system primitive here, but it's yeah. Oh, I also run OpenClaw.
Yeah.
There are good things there for sure. I think in terms of
It's
writing
been
an
fun.
agent harness, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is fun. It
Yeah.
is. It's what's also nice is I feel like I'm part of the conversation because people
Yeah.
will ask me about OpenClaw on the street. Like I was
Right.
mentioning the story at the dog park. Like it's becoming a thing that people are just using, and I feel
Yeah.
like the people telling me about it really shouldn't be using
Right.
OpenClaw.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Oh, and one of the main things I have, that I will do is, okay, well, so here's this activity. Go ahead and build it in N8N.
Ooh,
So
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. That's
have it
powerful.
build all, anything that's going to run more than once, build it in N8N and then run it from there. In fact, one of
I've
the ones I've
yeah.
got recently, I'm so excited about this. So,
What'd you get?
so now I'm going to this gym, and I go every Monday,
Mhm.
Wednesday, and Friday.
Nice.
I go to this one site to schedule my, the sessions I'm going to, because it's a kind of a group class. And it's called Pike 13, and they don't really have any, it's not big enough to have integrations with, lots of things. So one of the things they do have is you can subscribe to a iCal calendar and add that to your
Mm.
calendar. And so since I can access my calendar from N8N, I
Mhm.
can say, find all the calendar appointments that are from this calendar. And if there's one today, then the organizers of this class, they published the schedule for what's going to be done during the workout on
Mhm.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They posted on Saturday evening the week before. And so on Sunday evening, go to that site, grab all the workouts for the week, and store them by day. If there's a workout today, then the workout is at 12. At 11 o'clock, send me what the
Ah,
workout is
that's
going to
nice.
be. But
Yeah.
also, based on my performance in the past workouts, give me suggestions on the weights that I should be doing for the workout in an hour.
Mm.
And then
Context. Yeah.
after I'm done, provides an N8N form for me to say, okay, well, for the Romanian deadlifts, I did 180 pounds. For the other things, I have kettlebells. It was a 65-pound kettlebell, and all for whatever it was, put it there. It gets added to a row in a database, and all that gets pulled in the next Wednesday, where there's a
Mhm.
workout, and it says, okay, well, based on your past performance, here's what you should be doing next time around.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it is fantastic, and it's like so reliable, and it just works exactly the same way every time. I don't have to rely on a skill that the model
Right.
has to figure out. Okay, well, here's how to
Right.
do something. Let me figure out how to actually run this right now. And don't figure it out every time. We've figured it out one time.
That's what the skill's
Now
supposed
just
to be
run it.
for. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
When a
I do
skill is
find the
all
skill
made in
creators are a pain. Yeah.
skills often are purely markdown. There might be a
Yes.
companion script to do some pieces,
Yes.
but it's mostly a markdown file, which means the model
Yes.
has to figure it out every single time.
Not necessarily, but yes, would agree. Yeah. So you can put like references and hints and
Yeah,
things
you
like
can
that in the
refer to
scripts and
other
subfolders.
scripts and other programs, sure, but a lot
Yeah.
of the skills don't do that. Where yeah, it's
Having just done this, like also the like the linter, the official linter for the
Hmm.
skill doesn't necessarily tell you about those
Yeah.
folders. Doesn't tell you how many characters you should have. Doesn't tell you what kind of
Right.
metadata should be in the metadata field, or like hints so the skill can actually be called, because a lot of people just have issues like calling their skill. But yeah, the reference folder is supposed to show you sample implementations, and a lot of the skills
Mm.
just don't have that. So the first thing, absolutely, that you're talking about, the first
Yeah.
time you pull up a session to use a skill, it's like you're spending a million tokens to figure out how to use the
Right.
skill. Then you're spending a million tokens to do the skill. And if I did it
Right.
in Bash, it would have been like half a million
Right.
tokens. It would have been done now, which is terrible. Like that's the worst
Yeah.
outcome. Don't tell me Bash is better. This is like the
No.
worst. Like I love Bash, but it can't be the Bash is better. This is
Yeah.
impossible. But I agree. It feels much better to just like, if a skill is context that steers a model towards something, why don't I just steer the model in my
Right.
prompt?
Right.
Like, if I'm going to be doing this over and over, why load a skill? Why not put it
Right.
into the prompt? And I think this is where the argument for MCP servers, as much as I'm not a fan, kind of lands. It's like,
Right.
actually all you have to do is load the MCP server. When you load it up, it's always going to be updated. You can
Right.
trace it or do whatever you want, but it does the handling of this complex routing or whatever it's
Yeah.
got to do to get in there. And if it's not that, then it's just a prompt. But it does feel like in automated systems, skills aren't useless, but they're pretty freaking close.
Yeah.
You might
Yeah.
as well just update your prompt, or like your system prompt. One of the two. Either the prompt that you're
One of
running
the
or your system prompt.
one of the compilations of open claw success stories I
Mhm.
saw, one of the stories was actually this person. I was able to replace a 15-step N8N workflow with one agent. It's like, what why were you
Why?
going backwards?
Yeah, exactly. Why would you do
Oh,
this?
Jesus.
The complete misunderstanding of like where to use a tool or why to use a
Yeah.
tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was able to replace my hammer with a screwdriver. It's like,
Yeah.
sure you were.
Dremel. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm using an electric power saw to hammer in this nail. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just one quick step.
Oh. Ugh.
I do feel like Peter does deserve the fan for it. I mean, he's obviously a great engineer, and it's purely like most of my the reason I don't like this is just because of the timing it came out
Right.
in. Just like the models weren't great October of last year, and they
Right.
were amazing in November, and he launched it right around November. And I feel like if he just waited a month, it would have been better. But also, if he waited a month, he wouldn't have gotten this fanfare. So like
Right.
I understand
Yeah.
the whole situation. And I get that they need a foundation to support this, because there are a lot of people, like there are more people starring the repo than the Linux kernel, for example. I think Linux kernel has
Yeah.
200,000 and this has like 230-ish, maybe more now.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stars for a repo that's
It
very
is
new. And
it
yeah, go
is
ahead.
a reminder that stars have nothing to do with quality or
Yes, yes.
merit.
Yes, sort by stars is still
Yeah.
not the thing. I think the main thing that I take umbrage with is like, why did you write this in Go? And maybe that's just me. Like, of all the languages to write this in, like,
Right.
like you're doing a lot of very sensitive things. It felt to me like Swift would have been the right. Like you're
Yeah.
writing a bunch of Mac apps. I mean,
Yeah.
use Swift.
And it's
And if
definitely
not,
Mac first.
yes.
Yeah.
So you know,
I mean, I'm running on
it's
Linux,
right there.
but it's Mac first.
Absolutely, everything in it is made from app. There's like a little drop down that tells you like your your quota usage, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Which, by the way, I think it's called Codex Bar or Codex
Yeah.
Bar. Don't install Codex Bar. It'll hit Claude so quickly on the API backend that you won't be able to tell your usage for like 2
Yeah.
days, because
Right.
it just surreptitiously hits
Yeah.
essentially a web page, scrapes a web page, and then gives you the thing. And maybe it's been updated now, but like my
Yeah.
first I don't know, brush with this was not good. Yeah, it's not great.
Hmm.
So I've been pretty much coding in the hackathon and then playing
Oh
around with
yeah.
stuff in Paperclip since.
hmm
But I did a lot of work in that hackathon that kind of opened my eyes up in terms of, one, being able to do work with models and not using Git at all. So I used only JJ the entire time,
Okay.
which is pretty interesting. I tried to get Graphite working,
JJ
and
meaning
then
jujitsu.
sorry, Jujitsu, yeah.
Yep.
Jujutsu? Jujutsu?
Yeah.
Jujutsu. Yeah, that one, JJ. And I tried to use Graphite, and just it didn't stick. I think the concept of stack diffs or stack PRs is perfect.
Mhm.
In practice, the models want to use Git all the time. And as a
Mm,
result, JJ kind of can clean up some of the Git mess, for lack of a better term, that models will
yeah.
do. But Graphite doesn't solve that problem at all.
Mm,
Graphite's like a different issue. So I've been starting
right.
to do JJ workspaces, I think they're called, as opposed to, oh, what's the
Work
Git term?
trees.
Work trees, yeah, as opposed to work trees. And it seems to work pretty well. And if you're in work trees, when you run JJ, it will fold them in for you automatically, which is
Mm,
really nice because that's often what I'm trying to do anyway. So that's kind of what I was playing around with. I was playing with some MCP servers like the Airtable one. And the Airtable one will like give you back every time it reads it. I think it's like 100K tokens. So like half a context window for most models these days, which is
hmm.
pretty bad. There's no Airtable CLI, there's no skills or anything like that. And maybe that's what got my nander off about the
Mm,
or up about the MCP server. So I started looking into skills. But
right.
agreed, skills do have problems for sure. But I'm not sure if there's a better answer right now.
Yeah. Have you played with Open Code Desktop? Do you do much with Open Code?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh no. The big question I had about Open Code Desktop was like, why? Other than pasting in images, what does it do for you?
Um, so I used it. I tried it a while back, and it was like it definitely mentioned that there are weaknesses that things in the desktop that are not it's not as powerful as the CLI. But I think
Right.
that's all changed.
Hmm.
And so it makes it very easy to have one open cloud desktop or open code desktop, um,
Hmm.
and being able to jump around between different projects very easily, creating multiple
Oh.
agents,
Oh.
um, and and one of the reasons I use Sidecar in the
Mhm.
CLI is just being able to look at the files as they're being built, but
Right.
that is provided in Open Code Desktop, which
Oh,
is really
okay.
nice. Yeah,
That's a feature. Yeah,
yeah,
that's nice. Because otherwise, I'd have like multiple
right,
ZellaJs open. Like I
right,
have Hain
right.
with like something like tailing a log or opening a
Yep,
file, just so I can see them. Like
yep.
what's going on.
And so one of those
That
panes
that
can
makes sense.
be one or multiple terminals as well. Um,
Cool.
and it's a really nice, and it's kind of like there was another one I saw, Open Chamber, I think, which
Oh,
was
I haven't heard of
trying to
that.
be
I thought you were going to
another
talk about
front end.
Goose. Okay,
Huh? Oh no.
gotcha. Very interesting.
So,
Oh, Open Chamber is pretty cool. Open Chamber looks a lot like Paperclip. They look very
mm,
similar. I feel like a
okay.
lot of these UIs are kind of like the
Yeah.
Cloud Code UI. Very cool.
And then another one I just found out
Oh, this
about.
is Tori. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh,
It's a website disguised as an app. Is what this is.
oh,
So it's
okay, yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
Electron, but it's
yeah,
the Rust version of it.
hmm,
Saying it's a little bit faster. But Tori
yeah,
or Tauri is
yeah,
amazing actually for that. So
yeah,
if you got something that's a website, you can make it
yeah.
a desktop app. Very cool.
So another tool I found out about. I think I watched a video where the guy was demonstrating it, and I was like, oh, that's it's probably the first of the AI design tools that really kind of like, oh, okay, this looks really interesting. Um, Called Pencil.dev.
I was about to say, is it Pencil? Yeah, I have not tried Pencil. I
It's
saw.
pretty amazing.
What did I see? You know, when things in YouTube, when you're scrolling past them, you're like, I think the title was "This Changes AI GUI Coding Forever" or something like that,
It
and I was
could have
like,
been that, yeah,
eh,
yeah.
maybe.
But
I just kept going.
the
It looks
cool
neat because
thing
it's
in
got
the
multiple
demo,
cursors, right?
yeah, because it's got
Sorry, good.
multiple cursors going on at the same time, so you have multiple
Yeah,
agents doing a design,
yeah,
and they all are
yes,
like, and you see them, and as they're
yes.
working, you can adjust the design to tweak it, and
Oh,
it will continue using your whatever you just
so,
suggested
so
as
you're one of the agents.
you can be
Ah,
one of the participants.
ah,
um
very
and
cool.
yeah, it's pretty neat, and I've used it on a couple of things already, and I was like, this is amazing. And
Now,
um
now when I saw it, I was like, we gotta tell Matt I told you so. But like 2 years ago, we talked about multi-cursor interfaces
Yeah.
and how we're going to need this for agents and how it doesn't exist as an
Right.
operating system because we
Right.
don't use real-time operating systems.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. I love
Yeah.
this, even as an overlay in the web, which
Yeah.
is I think what we talked about with Google Drive and stuff. Yeah, I'm watching the demos now. Sorry, as you're
Yeah.
talking, which is what I'm saying. Fantastic too. But like, if you want to see this, I was at pencil.dev. I think Matt already
Yeah.
said it, but it's the demo is very impressive.
It's very
I did watch
impressive.
the intro to the video. I remember now, and the presenter was saying,
Yeah.
"Whoa!" When I saw the multiple cursors come in, I was like, "Wow!" Like there it is. It's like an
Yeah.
aha moment. At
Mhm.
the same time, when people, or to the same effect as when you first use Google Docs and all the cursors are moving
Mhm.
around, or all the little, you know,
Yep.
the cursor parking area. Yeah, this is really really neat. Have you
And
used the
then
Figma equivalent to this at all, like Figma
no.
MCP? Because I feel like it pales in comparison. Okay.
Yeah. And then another one, I saw a video, I think it was just today. And it was I think a Y Combinator. It might have been Y Combinator, or I'm pretty sure it was YC.
Mhm.
And the person on was the main person behind Cron. Do you remember the
I've not
Cron calendar, which got
absolutely.
unfortunately sold to Notion?
Mhm.
And so with so he was talking about kind of design and how so many of these websites now for startups are using, you know, AI tools to come up with the designs, and we end up with so much of the same. You know, once there's one site that is really interesting, then all the sites
Mhm.
have those things. And he mentioned right at the beginning, he says there's some things that are really annoying that I see all the time, like um, hover actions that don't really provide any value.
I did see
And
this. I watched this whole video. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
and
It took
then
me
one
a
of the
second to
things
get there.
was like
I
purple
somehow didn't
gradients,
realize he was from Cron. Yes,
and
the Datadog purple gradients.
and then like they
I'm so
had, you know,
sorry.
a few of the new YC startups submit their
And the stuff
website,
is
and they were all
purple.
like purple gradients and silly hovers and
I'm sorry, I got
like
red in the face, but the sites were so laughably bad, though. Like
yeah,
one of them,
that
I think it
line that
was
was
like,
going on,
it, yeah,
yeah,
wait, click here to talk to our board team, but the button was moving around.
moving
I was like,
around.
this is the most frustrating UI I've ever seen. You'd
I mean,
mouse
I
over
think
it and it would move,
the button was trying to move closer to your cursor, but
but it
it
was
did
like it would never
slow.
get there.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
And I think the YC person said, like, now would this make you more or less likely to talk to the board?
but then at
I'm
the
losing
end,
it.
But then at the end, they said, and all these sites are great. And we, you know, you've done some really amazing
Are they
work.
though? Are we
But
watching the same video? They just totally roasted all the YC participants. So it's like I don't think any of
yeah,
the sites were good,
no,
unfortunately, and they just roasted all these
yeah,
people who are part of the YC camp, and it's just like, oh,
yeah. But
that
that is
I thought
why
that
you
video
go
was
through YC, is so that you get that kind of advice from a friendly person
you could
rather than
you, you
yeah,
could not pay for that feedback. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. No one's gonna give you that quick good feedback. That was phenomenal. The person who was there with him, I think last year, or the year before, also did another design review
Mm,
pre AI that I would highly recommend. It was
okay,
actually phenomenal. Somehow, I think the cron bit came in one ear and went out the
yeah,
other because I did remember the fact that I
right,
didn't
right,
remember that was the person. But it was so good to talk about things that I think the main conclusion that they had was like it's free. Why don't we do it? Where the designer was like, what you could have done is nothing, and it would have
right,
looked better. It's
right.
like if you
Yeah,
didn't have the mouse over on that
yeah,
button, I wouldn't have said anything.
yeah,
If you didn't have that little trail going down the path that was
yeah,
nonsensical, I wouldn't have said anything.
right.
Or the I think it's called scroll jacking that we are
Yeah,
doing that they were
yeah,
having a hard time demonstrating. But
and
I've used before on the Apple website, for example,
yeah,
that drove me up the wall back in the
yeah,
day. Like, I just want to look at this Mac Pro. I'm about to give you a
yeah,
lot of money. Why
yeah,
can't I scroll down to the buy button? This is awful.
right,
And I feel like they did a good job of talking about those, maybe what a junior designer might think is cool. Like, I definitely
right.
thought scroll jacking is neat. It
Yeah,
forces me to read the page. And then I was like, yeah, but you're forgetting that frustration. Like, you
yeah,
hated this actually.
yeah,
You're moving your mouse around trying to figure out what's going on.
yeah,
And I thought they touched on a lot of things that are simple, but you might not realize until they
yeah,
tell you about it or
yeah,
demonstrate it to you. But yeah, that moving board meeting button was like, just because you can make a button follow your mouse around the
Hmm.
screen doesn't mean it's a good idea.
No,
How are
yeah,
you gonna click it? Because then they
yeah.
go to move over and it like moves again. Just so frustrating. It's
Yeah,
like it's punking you on the actual
yeah,
site, but like the goal is to sign up for sales,
yeah,
and you can like sign up and talk to sales, but you can. I thought that was a phenomenal. That
yeah,
was like the highlight
yeah,
of the Litecoin episodes recently for me.
yeah.
One I think they got roasted on recently. The Prime was talking about their uh, Claude Bot. I already forgot the
Hmm.
original name, where they were all dressed as lobsters. Did you see that one?
No,
Oh,
no.
it is. It's a little cringe. Yeah, but I get why they're doing it, and I definitely clicked on the video because like,
Yeah.
wow, they're in costumes now. Like this is taking a turn. I thought maybe it was AI generated because I was like, there's no way they're wearing costumes. No, they like legit
Yeah,
bought a lobster costume and then shared aspects of the costume between the four members. But
yeah.
yeah, would recommend it. I
Wow.
think a lot of times what I get from that podcast is things like it's like a pulse check,
Hmm.
and I think the OpenClaw one was saying like, hey, everyone's trying this, so are
Right,
we. And this is a while ago. This is when
right.
Claudebot had just launched. The other one was an episode where they admitted to all being addicted to Claude Code, which I thought was
Hmm. Hmm.
great too, because that it's
Hmm.
kind of like the zeitgeist. A lot of people are
Right,
feeling this.
right.
It's like Sim City or like Civilization or something like that. You just like one
Uh-huh.
more turn, and people are losing sleep. Like this
Yeah.
is actually a thing. It's got us by the grips. And we were
Yeah.
laughing last year about people who were having like dating with their GPT-4,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like, no, you're kind of you've got to like a I don't know what you call it, like a platonic relationship maybe with your favorite coworker at the
Hmm.
office. It just happens to be a Claude Code. Like
Right,
y'all
right.
are best buds now, and you won't
Hmm.
stop talking
Hmm.
to your best bud because
Hmm.
you're getting along so well. But
Right.
like, yeah, it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting to see how
Yeah.
they're going through it as well. Just as people who
Yeah.
used to be coders or used to be involved with the industry
Right.
quite a bit. Like I think is it Gary Tad, for example. I get a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of
Yeah.
interesting tidbits from Gary just talking about
Yeah.
like how his life is changing because he's like
Yeah.
code is fun again, which is like
Yeah.
I think we're all feeling that is the
Yeah.
things that we thought were limitations before we're now able to surmount easily
Hmm.
or somewhat easily, and as a result it makes us feel good. You get that dopamine rush and you keep
Yep.
following it, but
Yep.
unfortunately like at some point we need to sleep anyway.
Yep.
I've been loving the Litecoin, and previously I've been a bit of a
Yeah.
hater, so I feel bad, but it is quite good.
Hmm. And one
Should
other
we
thing
talk
I
about
saw,
checkouts?
well,
Oh,
one other thing I saw was it might have just been I don't know where I saw this, but I saw some blog post and a video about this screenshot editor.
Mm,
So you take a
okay.
screenshot and you upload it to this site. Um, and I didn't want to give it one of my screenshots that's important. So, and the idea is that you can then, select any text on it, and it will
Mhm.
recognize the text that's on the screen and the font and let you edit it, which I mean, there's been plenty of times I've gotten a screenshot and then I look at it, it's like, I've got my, API key in there. Let me edit that, blur that out, or do something else. And wouldn't it be great to be able to go in and just edit, so say bogus API key? Um, and so I take a screenshot of their site, and I upload that, and I go to edit it, and it takes a while to like click through to get to the layer where the text actually is, and I edit it, and it's completely the wrong font. It's not even on the same line. It's like here's the whole sentence, and then my edit is like halfway down. It's like, come on, at
Macro
least get
banana.
your own. At least get your own site to work. But
Oh, that's rough. I
yeah,
think Canva has something similar to that. At least they purport they can do
yeah,
like a screenshot editor that
yeah.
holds the font. In a quick Google, I came on, and again, this isn't a glowing recommendation, but photex.shop, does that ring a bell?
No,
It seems to be
it,
around the same capabilities as what you're
yeah.
talking about.
This was screenshoteditorpro.com, I think.
Oh,
Pro,
pro. You got to add
pro.
pro to the name.
Yeah,
Enterprise.
yeah.
Okay, so not a glowing recommendation.
No.
I will say, in general, Nano Banana in Google
Hmm.
Slides seems to be able to do stuff like that
Oh yeah.
pretty well. but suffers on logos. It has created so many
Hmm.
data aardvarks. Like the snout just gets longer and longer as you Gen AI stuff. I don't know why. It just gets this like really long snout. But otherwise, it does everything really well. And then
Yeah.
you have to tell it, hey, like drop the logo. You're not very good at this
Right.
part. But it can do stuff if you tell it to like recreate the text. You don't need to say it's in Roboto, which is
Right.
the font that we use. It seems to be able to understand that. It does, however, I think have a limit for maybe paragraphs or
Mm.
characters. I think it's 15 people is what Nano Banana is stuck to. But I feel like when it comes to text, it might be like 15 lines, if that makes sense. And
Hmm.
each line is considered like a portion of text or something like that, because it does get confused with lots of text and it will
Right.
repeat lines and make you look like you don't know what you're doing if you're not careful.
Right.
But it's pretty handy.
Hmm.
It's getting there. Again, it's early days. It's
Yeah.
probably not going to be
Yeah.
the best right away. It will take a little bit of time.
Like I've one thing I've and maybe I should just create it, and vibe code it, and being able
Mhm.
to take a screenshot and not necessarily edit it, but at least put each of the layers on a separate layer that is then
Oh,
editable, like
amazing.
animatable. And there was a really cool movie, in fact, a movie and a sequel that were all done in almost all of it was done in After Effects, where they recreated these screens in After Effects and all these layers, and you're kind of zooming into the different layers in this UI.
Mhm.
And the idea was that I think the mother went on vacation, and then the daughter was tricked into thinking there was some sort of problem, and she was. It was an interesting move, amazing effects because it was all basically screen. I mean, it looked like it was all screen recording, except it was far sharper than any screen recording could ever be because of the
Mhm.
zooming. It was spectacular. I had to rent it. I mean, it wasn't on any streaming service, so and now I can't even remember what it was called, but
I think we talked about this before because I had a
I think
novel
so.
way of showing
Yeah,
text bubbles, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we talked about how that's commonly done in screen. Something I've come across recently is called term frame. Have you heard of this
No.
before? I was trying to use Askinema again.
Okay,
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
if you've used Askinema, but like the way of creating movies in the CLI. And
What was it?
I,
Term
I,
something?
I, sorry, term frame,
Term
like
frame.
a frame in a terminal, term frame.
Right.
And the repo is pambarus
Hmm.
slash term frame if you're looking for it on
Okay.
GitHub. But basically, what it allows you to do is take SVG pictures of your terminal, which are
Hmm.
infinitely smaller and can scale, as you mentioned,
Okay, yeah.
way larger as a result of being vectors. So it can like
Mm-hmm.
embed the font and do a bunch of stuff like that, which is pretty handy. The reason I was looking at it is because, yeah, I'm trying to make screenshots that are big of
Right.
CLIs and like
Right.
those BMPs get really big.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, and JPEGs actually don't look great. Like
Yeah.
it's not a good experience to show a JPEG of a terminal because like it looks
Yeah.
noisy. It's not. And ping I think is supposed to be the answer, but it's still quite large.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Regarding ASCII
my
Cinema,
check code would be term frame. Yeah.
I saw that there was an update to Ghosty, and
Oh,
in the
okay.
release notes, it talked about how they were able to get via ASCII Cinema plenty of basically screen caps of people using Ghosty to look for performance problems and
Yes.
update those performance issues.
That is fantastic. I use it to test like
Yeah.
skills and things like that. So I could show a video of the skill
Right.
being loaded and show the session of what's actually happened.
Yep.
The only problem I've had with Claude Code is that it doesn't understand video because it's multimodal, but it's not
Mm.
that type of multimodal. So you end up using FFmpeg to grab like the screenshot 10 frames
Right.
in or
Yep.
like 100 frames in. You're just like
Yep.
sampling frames of it just to make sure it can grab from it. But Askinema is very, very handy to be able to produce something like that that can be
Except
used
you
as part
call
of the
it,
debugging
you
workflow.
say Askenema,
Askinema.
but isn't it ASCII
Askinema?
Cinema?
No, it's Askinema with two
Oh,
eyes, just for funsies.
okay.
Askinema? Askinema?
Okay.
Askinema?
I
I don't know.
assumed there was
Where should we put the
two
Askin?
words in there. Yeah.
Askinema?
Okay.
No, it's all one word.
Okay.
Um, it's one of those tools, funnily enough, that I found via Homebrew. You know, when you go through
Mm.
Homebrew and you do like an upgrade and it gives you all
Yeah,
this stuff that scrolls by,
yeah,
I am like the sole person who scrolls up to the top while it's updating, and I'm
hmm,
reading the new packages of the ones being
yeah,
updated.
yeah,
And then I will legit, because it sometimes take a while, legit will go to the website and then
yeah,
start looking up some of these packages. And like, hey,
yeah,
there's new software out there. Well, I see what's
yeah.
going on. And that's how I found GOG CLI of all
Oh, okay.
things. I was like, what? It's like, you can't be making Google, like, I used to be a Google enterprise admin. So I know
Yeah,
a fair bit about like the internals, unfortunately a lot
yeah.
about like the directory
Right,
authentication.
right.
And it's a little bit complicated actually to create like an app that's vetted that can use your org,
Hmm.
but also is secure.
Right,
Not an easy thing to surmount. So
right.
yes, a fair amount of skepticism, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, my checkout is term frame. I
Okay.
think everybody love it. And Matt, I guess, is telling you to look at ASCII Cinema or Askinema if you want to put it one word.
Well, I have a couple of things. First, last
Okay.
time we talked
It
about,
looks like
or
you've got notes for one. Like, you're
I do, I
organized.
do. Look at this, look at this.
Holy moly.
So, well, actually, this is one of the things is,
There we go.
I go through a lot of notebooks, and I try
Okay.
out lots of notebooks. I have a bunch of the
Hmm.
Leuchtturm or whatever, and
Oh, those are great. That's what I thought that looked like. Okay.
for a long time, I also used Baron Fig
Hmm.
notebooks, which
We
are
talked about
also
them before. Yeah.
fantastic.
Hmm.
Um, and this is Midori.
Oh, I haven't
It's a
heard of Midori. That means
Japanese one
green, I
that
think.
lies completely flat, even on the
Mm.
first few pages and or the last page. It well maybe not the last page, but it lies flat. It's super easy to get on Amazon, so that's a huge plus. Um,
Hmm.
and it handles fountain ink pen really well. A lot of these don't. Um,
Yeah, how's that paper? Because they're claiming they have a special paper, MD paper.
yeah, it's fantastic.
Is it cool? Yeah,
It's
okay. And they
really
sell
great.
like a dip pen as well for it. Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, very nice. I'd
Um,
never heard of this. They also sell stickers if you want to like jazz it up a bit.
so I sometimes put on stickers that I make from my photos, and so this is one of those
Oh,
label printers that prints out like a sticker. And so I've got on one of
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah,
notebooks, I have a bunch of like pictures of my dog, like
yeah,
stuck
yeah.
on there.
Or
And
like Matt loves Python stickers. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No. Um, but I so last week we talked about Orion. I mentioned Orion because it was like
Yes.
my
Yes.
new favorite browser of the week.
Which I definitely have
Uh,
not tried. Maybe next year.
um, well, one of the other services from Kagi is News.
Yep. Right.
News.kagi.com. Did I talk about News?
You did not, but I happened to be on the website and I
Okay.
looked around. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And
Is it
so
good? Okay.
it's like every 8 hours it's updated with latest news. And it's like at first you look at it and think, okay, well it's US and then world and then business and then sports and games, I think. And I thought this is really great. I wish I could get rid of those garbage categories like sports and games. And
Or the
uh
US. Sorry.
or the US, yeah.
Moving on.
Um, and you can. So there's that
Okay.
little gear icon at the top right,
I see
and you
that.
can
Yep.
say, well, get rid of those categories and
Ah,
add
and add new ones. You can
Bhutan
add
or
Canada.
add Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Get
sorts of
rid of the US.
AI, 3D printing. Whatever your categories are, and it's got a lot of different categories. So that's been kind of a
Wow.
neat tool
You
to
know
look
what?
at.
One thing they say on this page that I think is so important, it's like summaries may be inaccurate. Like if
Yes.
only
Yeah.
Perplexity would say that, I'd be so much happier.
Yeah.
Because it's rolling up things that aren't
Yeah.
facts.
Right.
Very, very interesting.
So I've been
This is
digging that.
cool.
And
Yeah,
then
I think the last time I went to this, the main thing we were looking at was like
the
the
search.
search, because I noticed that the Datadog ad wasn't in there. Their version of the search had removed the
Right.
Datadog ad when you look for Postgres. Very cool.
So another thing is this mug.
That
So
mug, yeah.
when we went
Don't
to,
you already have a bougie mug that's USB or something?
huh? Oh well, yeah.
Don't you already have a bougie?
This is just a mug,
Okay,
but
just a mug.
this is a
But
connection to you,
uh
sort
oh,
of.
is
So
oh
when Tony and I were in
Oh wait,
Vancouver, we stayed
yeah,
at a
yeah, that
hotel.
looks.
We
Is that
stayed
Menton? Okay, keep going. Yeah.
well, we stayed at a hotel. We stayed at the what was that hotel called? It was the it's some chain there.
Oh,
Um,
Pacific Waterfront. Is it
Waterfront,
the one you're
yeah,
at?
because it was like a super cheap place to
Hmm.
stay. And so we're sitting there and we're eating our, it comes with breakfast, and we're eating there and we're sitting there, look, because we've been wanting to get mugs, like a new set of mugs, a new set of plates. Um, and we look at these mugs, like,
I think I know who
I,
designed your mug. Okay, keep going.
we really like these mugs. And then, the plate
Yeah,
would come out. It's like, we really like these plates. And so we're like, oh,
yeah.
in the last few hotels that we've stayed at, the two of us have like gotten our mug, drink our mug, and then we're looking at the bottom to look at who makes this mug. And so this is Fortessa,
Okay.
Vitrolux. And so we found a, pretty good deal, and we are able to get like 8 sets,
Ooh, these are
for
nice. Yeah.
for I don't think we paid more than like $200 or $300 for, for 8 settings, for the larger bowl, smaller kind of bowl, plate, small plate, and mugs, for 8, for, yeah, about $300 total. Um, and it's stuff that's used in a hotel, so I mean it gets banged around a lot and survives. And
Hmm.
yeah, we've been totally digging these mugs.
I actually thought you were talking about a local designer,
Oh,
Kate Metten,
no,
Metten, and those
okay.
mugs look very similar to hers, but the plates are different, so it's
Mm,
not the same. But I think her stuff is being sold at Simons
mm,
SIMONS.ca, which is
okay,
not. I don't think that's a franchise that you have in
right.
the US. So I thought that's where you were going with it. But
Nope.
she's literally in the same studio space that I do
Oh,
for that.
okay.
So yeah, pretty cool. But I like that color of the mug that you had. I
Yes.
feel like that
Yeah.
color is
It's
becoming
it's
it's
really nice.
yeah, it's
It's
like muted
soothing.
gray green.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just like
It's
industrial.
yeah. So,
Very
um,
nice. I like it.
do I have
You have a
anything
lot to
else on
check
my
out this
list?
week. Amazing.
Oh, and then I stumbled on something. Now, I don't know if you ever
Huh?
been to Miami?
Did you hurt yourself?
No. Have you ever
No,
been to
I have
Miami,
not.
or have you been to
I have not.
Orlando for Disney World? So,
No, Florida. I've been
I
told Florida's scary.
it is. It is. So I grew up in Miami. I grew up on Key Biscayne.
You're right.
And I remember when I was like 12 or 13 years old, took the Amtrak from Miami-ish up to Philadelphia, where my brother was going to school at Penn. And so we did that trip once. And getting to the train station, to the Amtrak station, was hard because it was like almost in Fort Lauderdale, I think. And there was, every now and then you would get a flight to Miami, and it was far cheaper if you went to some other place, Fort Lauderdale, or to, further north. But then getting down to Miami is kind of a pain. Um,
You rent a car or whatever, as
right,
far as I
right.
remember. Yeah.
And growing up in Miami, one of the cheap vacations growing up was always going to Disney World, because, as a Florida resident, when I was growing up, a year long pass would be a couple $100. Now it's a lot more.
Not bad. Right,
Um,
of course.
but uh, um, but it was always, you could stay at Fort Wilderness for, get one of the cabins at Fort Wilderness, sleep like 6 people, and spend less than $100 a night, and it was amazing.
Nice.
Now it's a lot more. Um, but but getting there was always, I mean, it's a long drive. I don't know
Mhm.
how many hours, 4 or 5 hours for, a 12-year-old. It's a long, long drive.
Right.
Now there is a train, and it looks like it's a
Okay.
really convenient train. It's called Brightline.
Okay.
And so so it's a 3.5 hour trip from Miami to Orlando. At Orlando, it stops at the Orlando airport, which is pretty convenient for Disney World or
Mhm.
for any of the other parks. On the Miami side, it's downtown Miami. So there's a
Ooh,
train
nice.
stop in downtown Miami. It's like a nice looking train station as well. And I mean, from Key Biscayne, when you get take the bridges over, and then you're in, kind of just south of downtown Miami, and then it's maybe a 5 minute drive from there to this train station, and it's like super cheap to get from Miami to. I mean, I'm not a fan of Florida at all. I haven't even grown up there, but now, I
I
mean,
thought you were gonna
knowing
say
that
train, and I was like,
there's this
hold up.
connection from Miami to Disney, it's like, oh my
Yeah.
god, this is. I need to go to Florida just because of this now. It makes things so much better. Anyway, so that was my little
Now,
discovery. I
as
have
the
not been on it.
U.S. like as the U.S. come around to like understanding that they spent a lot of money on the train system and should put some more dollars into it, or
No,
is this just like something
no.
that has been recouped from like
This is
old industrial train tracks or something?
I think this is a private company that is
Oh
like
wow.
leasing line. I don't know how they're doing it.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of what it because they're not going to put new lines in. Yeah, that
Right.
totally makes sense actually.
But I didn't
Yeah.
know that there were trains that went through Miami, like downtown, but I
Mm,
don't think those tracks have been used in 50
probably
years.
not. Yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
did this how did this new company put tracks in? I don't know how that worked. I definitely
My
need to.
understanding is the tracks can last like a long time.
Yeah. As long as they don't
Yeah,
pull them
yeah.
out.
Like,
Like they pulled out all the tracks for the trams in Detroit. Detroit used to have this
oh right,
amazing public
right. Yeah, yeah,
transportation
yeah.
system, and even LA had this amazing public transportation system. And then because of the cars and automobiles,
Car lobbying. Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
car lobby yanked all those rails out, and
I mean,
regret it.
like I don't want to get too political, but Detroit is very much a car town.
Oh
Like it
yeah,
was like where a
yeah,
lot of the U.S. cars
yeah,
were made, so it makes sense it'd be stronger there.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So
I'm here for
anyway,
the public transit.
yeah,
Obviously, I think automated Teslas driving around are cool, but I really wish they were just like connected to each other,
yeah,
maybe, and could
yeah,
create like a train. It
yeah,
just feels like what you want is a train.
yeah,
You're calling them cars, you just need to put them
yeah,
together.
yeah,
Train cars. Sorry,
yeah,
just
totally.
pound the joke over the head. But it does feel like those are a lot easier to automate because they're on tracks. And I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, there's still
Taking
problems. The real
that,
world problems still there, but it's
I mean, I
easier.
used to do that train, the Excella from Boston to New York City. I mean, when I was
Mm.
at Datadog, I'd be doing that every other week to take that trip.
And I think the big difference for me, at least, when you're in a train and maybe in a self-driving car, but you can actually work. Like a lot of these
Yeah.
trains have Wi-Fi, and you can
Yeah,
get work done
Wi-Fi.
while you're on
Yeah.
the
I mean,
train.
it's not great, but it's good enough.
That's all right. Yeah, good
Yeah.
enough to work. Right on.
So
So you heard it here, folks. If you go to Florida anytime
go to
soon, please
Florida,
take the
Brightline.
train.
Yes.
All right.
All
Shall
right.
we find the button? We're a
I
little
think
bit
we
over
should
this
find.
week.
I think no, there was a comment. I was able to build an integration with my Claude Code, where my Claude Code agent can access, view, and diagnose errored workflow based on their execution. Oh yeah, yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think a
Execution
lot
ID.
of people are
Yeah,
getting into this situation where
yeah,
N8N, like the any problems that they have with N8N, the
yeah,
agent using
yeah,
either a skill or MCP can
yeah,
surmount it.
yeah. Pretty cool. All right, let's find the
Absolutely.
finish button.
All right, that was
Finish
awesome.
and
Thanks, folks.
broadcast. Thanks so much. Bye.